Hey, how's it going, everyone? I'm Kale from Cubo Gaming, and if you aren't familiar with this game that I'm playing right now, well, you aren't alone. Actually, the reason I decided to make this video was because I played this game on a stream, and so many people asked me what I was playing that I was actually really surprised, and I thought pretty much everyone had some sort of idea of what the game was. So, what exactly is the game I'm playing? The game is called Unturned. And well, Unturned is a zombie survival game with base building. And like how you see in the thumbnail, it's kind of a combination of a couple games while, looking like Roblox. The game also is free, and I think that's kind of a reason why the game is so fun. I know that doesn't really make any sense, but I'll get into more about that later. Essentially, what I mean is you don't have to pay for anything for this game, but it offers so much to do that it makes the game a lot more fun and even in some cases slightly addicting. So, how is this Roblox blocky looking game like Daisy or Rust? Well, you start out with nothing in your inventory, and the game can feel similar to Daisy because a lot of what you do is roam the map and loot various locations while at the same time being cautious of other players in the map. And you also don't need to just focus on trying not to die from other human players, but also the different kinds of zombies around. This is another similarity with DayZ that the game has. There are all kinds of zombies, from running and crawling zombies to spitters to even large boss-like zombies, which are honestly really fun to kill. And it's similar to Rust in that there's a lot of looting and roaming like DayZ, but with Unturned, it also has base building. And not only base building, but base raiding. I mean, the game may graphically look like a dumbed down version of Pixel Gun 3D, but the amount of things you can do with raiding alone is impressive. I mean, you can even use a tank to raid. And you have all kinds of explosives that you can craft, which is another thing I should mention. The game has an insane amount of things you can craft. All kinds of explosives, healing items, and not only does this game have a lot of crafting items, but even a skill point system. You gain points from killing zombies and players, and you can use those points on different skills that can give you an advantage. Skill trees also don't transfer from server to server, so if you upgrade your entire skill tree in one server, it won't apply to any other server. Some of these skills improve your aim or your dexterity, some improve your healing and your immunity, and even some help your agricultural abilities. But what I like about the skill tree edition is that you don't see this in other games that are in this genre. It not only has all these building, looting, and zombie survival aspects going for it, but you also now have a skill tree to work on, and it rewards you for killing stuff. I really like the skill tree, and once you max it all out, you aren't exactly OP, but it definitely feels rewarding. Something else that's really impressive with this game is Unturned also has over 30 separate maps, and all of them are unique and vary on sizes. Each map has different locations, from small houses and farms to even big cities that are hotspots, and sometimes really risky to go through. There's also military bases where you find the higher tier loot, and there are also supply drops. I mentioned before that there are larger boss type zombies. These large zombie bosses drop good loot too, and when you kill them, it feels really rewarding. And to add on everything I've already said, you're also able to move around the map with different types of vehicles. Remember when I talked about raiding with the tank before? Well, there are those, and also all kinds of cars and military vehicles. There's even planes and helicopters. I mean, it took Rust how long to add cars? Well, Unturned has a ton of vehicles that just make the game a lot more interesting. And something else that I really like about this game are the insane amount of weapons that you can use. Not only is there a large list of weapons you can use, but you can also customize them with scopes and other attachments. As you're seeing from the footage now, the game also has night vision, which I thought was really cool, and it really helps out when you're doing a nighttime raid or in a shootout in the dark. And shootouts in general can be really tense, and especially if you have a lot of valuables on you. You kind of get somewhat of that same adrenaline rush that you do in Rust or DayZ when you have a lot of stuff on you. And I'll admit, at least for me, it's not to that extent. I don't know why, but you still get that same kind of feel. And overall, the combat feels really satisfying. Even though it's all blocky and somewhat clunky, it's still really fun. And I mentioned base building earlier, and there's actually a lot to do here. With a couple of friends, you can build a pretty sizable base. You can store your vehicles with garages, and I'm pretty happy with the base building. Now, I don't think it's as meaningful or high stakes to have a base as it is in something like Rust, but it still feels pretty good to build your own base. And it feels even better when you raid someone else's base. I'll be honest, I mean, the first couple times I played this game, I didn't even bother with base building. It doesn't really put you in a position where you feel that you need a base like in Rust, but if you have one, it'll give you a huge advantage to people that were like me when I first started. People that don't really care for a base or putting in the time to build a base. And I've had a few successful raids. I'm happy to say that you do still get that adrenaline like you do in Rust, albeit not as intense, but raiding is really satisfying, and I'm happy to say that you also need to plan out and craft your explosives beforehand. You can't just show up to a heavily fortified base and just start breaking it down. You actually need a plan with your team and start to craft and collect stuff so that you're prepared for the raid. Oh, and before I forget, there are other types of meters in the game besides your health. You need to keep eating and drinking stuff so that you don't die over time. And I am very, very happy with the rate of food and water depletion in this game. I've stated before in one of my other videos about scrap mechanic that some of these games often make it too hard to survive. What I mean by that is your food and your water will drain out in 5 to 10 minutes, and there aren't enough resources in the world for you to keep up with that. But luckily with Unturned, it doesn't deplete too fast, and there are a lot of resources in the world, so you can keep yourself alive. And this isn't to say that you can completely forget your food and water meter. You will die out if you ignore them. But I think that the game has a nice balance of this so it doesn't get too tedious. I mean, this game is really fun, and it's completely free on Steam. And it isn't hard to run at all, so if you have a low spec computer, then this would be perfect for you. You're getting a little bit of Rust and DayZ and a blocky presentation for free. And again, I was really surprised that so many people didn't know what this game was, and personally, I think it deserves more players. So if you're looking for a game that you can pour hours and hours into without having to spend any money on it, or you have a low spec computer, then I highly recommend going and downloading this game on Steam. And that's gonna wrap it up for this video. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and be sure to check out our Discord server and gaming podcast, both linked below.